How often do you stand on the first tee and you stood watching your playing partner casually walk to the golf ball like this? They just step up there. You can see they're not thinking about too much stuff, and then they do this. And kind of like unbelievably effortlessly and really relaxed, they rip it down the middle, almost 300 yards. You then stand up, and with all your might and all your effort, you can't get anywhere near them. Why is that? I know it's unbelievably frustrating. Certainly from many of my students that come and see me. Well, they have a pattern of swing that just naturally and effortlessly leads to longer drives. The chances are you have a pattern that simply just robs you of distance, and no magic swing tip will ever get it back. What you have to do is change your pattern to one that naturally leads to effortless power. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to actually do that. It's not going to require loads of million swing thoughts and stuff. You just simply need to change the overall pattern. And when you do that, these drives start to come bit by bit. I can't wait to share it with you. Before I do though, look, if you're new to the channel, it's one of your first videos of mine, please consider subscribing on these videos just like this one every single week to try and help you improve your game. Plus you never have to remember a thing. Everything I do here, I'll put into a free download practice guide that I'll pin to the top comment below this video. So that story in the intro came from actually my lesson Monty this week, who a little envious of his playing partners because they're just hitting it so much further than he is. Now he thinks it's his strength. He feels like he's getting a bit old now, and that's why he's not as long as his friends. But the reality is it's not. He just has a pattern that leads to kind of very, very short drives. So what I want to do is I want to share with you what I shared with Monty, because it doesn't take long to start to experience where power comes from and why the long hitters make it look easy, and why maybe you, if you're struggling with distance, you make it look difficult. So let's start with the first thing I want you to look at in your golf swing. Take a look at this. So this is a pattern of movement. That's one pattern of movement. Here's another pattern. Can you see a difference? Which one looks smoother, more flowing? Hopefully what you noticed was the second one. But what am I doing on that second pattern? Well, this is what I explained to Monty. What you need to realize is the body is always working in oppositions. So what's happening ultimately is this. On the first one, this is what kind of Monty was doing. Everything was moving up and everything is moving down. So everything now is working in the same direction. That leads to just effort shots. If you want effortless, what we need to have is the club accelerating. And notice what's happening here. As my arms are working down, my legs are pushing up. They're actually starting to straighten a little bit. Can you see this? So I'm actually working in the opposite direction to where my arms are going. Much like as if I was throwing a medicine ball down on the ground. Makes sense. I wouldn't go, it wouldn't leave a loud noise doing this versus slam it down, right? So the first thing I did with Monty, I said, we're not going to do super powerful this, is just spend a moment experiencing this pattern. Yeah? Now, I gave him a little drill, which you can do too, just so you can feel this. Where I got him to, because he's a little slicer as well, I got him to draw his trail foot back like this. And I said to him, just get that sensation that your lead knee is really bent now. And when you're coming down, just imagine the arms as they fire downwards, you're going to push upwards. You're going to move up in the opposite direction. Notice this, I'm not standing up, I'm just simply pushing my lead leg as I fire my arms down. Very different to this look. Should I see with most people? Or this. Yeah? Nothing's happening here. Everything's working down versus look at this simple. One. Push up. You don't even have to do it hard. Just push. Push. As the arms go down, the leg pushes up. So they're working in opposition. I said, look, let's just start with that. Spend a moment, by the way, when you do this, just to feel it. Let the body kind of take some time to kind of experience this motion, yeah? And then when you're ready, I said just draw that right foot back a little bit here, just so you can really sense this lead leg. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit a couple of shots now, and I want you to get a sense of this motion. He says, I really feel like, Danny, there's some acceleration into the club. The energy is being passed into that club. I can really feel like, it's almost like the energy is going down the shaft and into the head. Whereas here, I don't feel that. Yeah. Whereas when I push this way, it really feels like something's going straight into the head. Almost like, it's almost like the blood rushing from down your arms into the club head. That's because your arms are being thrown here while your body's working in the opposite direction. I said, yeah, absolutely. So let's hit a couple of shots just doing that. Yeah, just let's take that sensation. So no big shots to start with. Just tap a few down there. Just accelerate through, right? So suddenly what we start doing, we start tapping a few down there, and he's like, that feels so easy. And now, he didn't get it right every time, and there's a timing to this. There's no magic bullet. You have to kind of, now you get this motion, you've got to learn to time it. You can't just expect it to be absolutely perfect. And to start with, he would stand up. I said, no, that's not it. Look at this. I'm using my legs to push back while my arms go down, yeah? So we keep going, just keep going with this, bit by bit. Just throw those out there. Now, what he started to do is his distance instantly added 15 to 20 yards. Now there was a little bit of a cut on that shot to start with, so he didn't have complete control over it, but now he could feel, which is really important, how he was going to start to add some club head speed into his shots, because suddenly they were going a lot further with no extra effort. So once we had him kind of sensing the rhythm of the swing, what we then did is I started to need to get his body working far more effectively, because right now he was starting to get the club kind of releasing and adding some speed to that club, but he wasn't coordinating it brilliantly with the body because, again, he didn't understand that the body also, when it moves right to left, needs to work in opposition. The problem was he was simply going turn right and turn left. And again, if you do that, you have no power, yeah? Now, I shared with him a brilliant drill I got from a wonderful coach called Andy Plummer. And it's super, super simple, but it does so many amazing things. So I said, look, we don't want the body working, the hips and the arms and the shoulders working in the same direction. There's no power that you can't control, you can't generate any force. And I saw Andy doing a brilliant drill, which is this. As you move the arms back, watch what happens. 1, 2. Looks weird, doesn't it? But look what I'm doing. What's happening? As my arms are working one way, my body is spinning the other way. It feels like I'm turning. Now, if you've ever been told, you've said, we've got to open up those hips and all that kind of stuff, all that there is such bad advice because we've lost that connection. Everything's turning in the same direction, face is wide open, massive to the right, no power. But this, what I love about this exercise, just if you do it, if you pause the video and do this, you will feel the body working in opposition very naturally. Now, if you check out, let's say, the world's #1 golfer, Scotty Scheffler, you will see him physically almost doing, when he comes through, this kind of motion where his body's working this way. And what's happened to the lower body? It's working, look, in the opposite direction. It's always working in opposition because that gives you can then accelerate into the back of the golf ball with control versus no control, yeah? So doing a drill like this just before you play, really simply just kind of going, 1, I can really feel I'm winding up into this leg here. What I love about it here as well, when I jump, this is what happens actually in the real swing. I'm pushing here and I'm there. I love that feeling of the opposition. And that's exactly what Monty said as well. He said it took a bit of time just to kind of understand it initially and sense it. But once he got it, he could really sit down. I never feel that right leg, the power in that right leg. I really feels weak. That's because, Monty, you just turned and turned. So we take that sensation, look. 1, I move my arms this way, and then I'll just fire my arms, look, across my body here, and I feel like I'm working always, look, in opposition. And you'll notice here, look at my heel here. Can you see how this heel is banked in a little bit here and it's not pivoted out? This is a really good example of me, and it's really exaggerating this, really firing this club through impact without spinning here, which most slicers would do. Now, if I wanted now to start to combine those two things together, which is what we did with Monty, is we just build it up bit by bit. So if I wanted to get up to 300 yards now, all I'm going to do for me is really start to accelerate, but notice this, I'm not accelerating like that. I am sensing this opposition. You could almost imagine that bowling down an alleyway, right? It's the opposition that works, and that allows me, look, to fire with control into the back of the golf ball. And there we go, look. That's how we start to really ramp up that distance. So get a sense of those two drills. Get a sense of how the body works in opposition. A lot of times we've been told to open our hips on the way through here, but all that does is, in a sense, everything's working the same direction. You have no control over this club, which is firing. When that club fires with our arms this way, we want to make sure that the lower body is supporting that, not collapsing like this. And finally, you will see me do exercises like this, where I'm getting the player to feel the swing of a golf club. That's not momentum. This is momentum. So that is where that first exercise comes in. Really sense here, look, I'm firing the arms down while I'm pushing back with my legs. Just take time to experience these sensations. They're a skill. Your body's been used to doing one thing, you need to develop the sensory acuity to do this other thing. Took Monty 20, 30 minutes to really get into this, and then he started to get some beautiful shots. Of course, he hit some dodgy ones as well. But the thing is he went away now knowing exactly what his mates were doing to hit the ball a lot longer. And he knew he could do it because he did it in that session. So I really hope you give this a go and develop this feel exactly like Monty did. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Maybe share it with one of your friends. And of course, look, remember, there's a free practice plan that I'll pin the top comment below this video. If you struggle with accuracy with driver, setup is unbelievably important. I go into a detailed analysis of exactly how to set up in this video right here. Super, super important. Probably watch that one straight after this one. But until next week, have a wonderful golfing week.